And we're live. Good afternoon, everybody. You have here Annette with the Truth Behind podcast. We're doing a very special live event today with Mr. Tom here with the Veteran Stress Project. Just that title alone should have you curious, you guys. He is going to be talking to us about EFT tapping. Have you heard about EFT tapping? I have. But I haven't used it because I don't have enough knowledge about it. So I think it's so important that we learn about other forms to help us instead of always going to medication or other forms of alcohol or all those things that are not so healthy for us. Let's learn about tapping. But Tom, could you please just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with all of this?
Oh, sure. Thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here and spread the word about EFT, and especially for veterans, because I'm a Vietnam veteran myself, and I understand the struggles that veterans go through, especially if they've been in a combat zone and/or combat. They're not quite the same, but still the effects can be the same. So how did I get started in this? Wow. First of all, I'm on my second career. That's a long story in and of itself, but I got exposed to EFT tapping quite unexpectedly and inadvertently while I was on a snorkeling trip while I was on a conference in Jamaica, and we went snorkeling and I got in trouble and had to get rescued. And the minute they pulled me up on the boat, I started sobbing, and two people on the boat knew tapping, and they said, "Can we tap on you?" And I was like, "You got to ask." So they started tapping on me, and in less than 5 minutes, this whole emotional upset that I was experiencing in terms of sobbing stopped. Just stopped, and I was like, "What just happened?"
Wow.
What just happened? I had never experienced anything like that before. I've certainly had crying jags before, and they've never stopped in 5 minutes. Guarantee that. So, I got home from the conference and I pondered it a little bit and looked it up, and a few months later bought the training videos, and that was July of 1978, or I'm sorry, 98. And I've been doing EFT ever since then, and got involved with the Stress Project. And I think it was 2008. I even happened to meet Dawson Church, who was the lead researcher at Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology Conference, ACEP for short. And he was starting to do the research, and he was looking for volunteers to do work with the veterans, volunteers that knew EFT tapping, and I was like, here I am. And that's kind of the short story of it.
So can you tell us what is EFT tapping?
Sure. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And we use the word tapping to distinguish it from another process that uses the acronym EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Therapy, which has nothing to do with what we're doing. So that's why I say EFT tapping. So it's all based on the acupuncture premise that if your energy system doesn't function properly or isn't functioning properly for whatever reason, that you feel it in some way, shape, or form. It either shows up as an illness or distress, and it could be a physical illness, it could be mental illness, could be, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, anything at all. And so, the whole idea of acupuncture is they insert needles at these specific points on your body to correct the energy in the meridians. Well, we don't use needles. We tap on these points instead. And depending on which protocol you use, it may look different. Most of the time I use the original protocol, which is 13 points. It's been shortened to 7 or 8 points by some practitioners, and that's what they're basically teaching in the trainings nowadays. And I kind of go back and forth between the the two different protocols, but that's kind of immaterial at this point. So, the basic protocol, if you will, or the process is, first of all, I have the person identify what's causing the distress and come up with a statement about that distress. Maybe it's a fear of snakes, just an example. And so then I'll ask them, how intense is this fear of snakes, to get what's called a subjective units of distress in a scale of 0 to 10. And they'll give me a number, whatever that number is. It's their number. It's not my number. It's their number. So it's just a tracking mechanism. And then we'll create a setup phrase that sounds like, even though I have this fear of snakes, I deeply and completely accept myself. And then we start tapping on the points with that phrase and a shortened phrase and or modified phrases that represent the scenario. So it could be a fear of snakes. It could be a fear of moving snakes. It could be a fear of snakes sticking their tongue out. Could be a fear of red snakes, brown snakes, and anything that's a descriptor in there could fit into the set of phrases and the tapping phrases. So that's it in a nutshell. People learn it. I teach it to all of my clients. They learn it. They learn to use it in between sessions because they can. It's probably one of the only therapeutic tools out there that can be used like that in between sessions. Let me rephrase it. Active therapy tools, because people could do journaling in between sessions, and that's great. But this is another step above that, maybe even 2 steps.
That's so interesting. How long does it take to teach somebody these skills and have them start using it on their own?
Typically after one session, they should be able to do a little bit of on their own, and I always send them a cheat sheet so that they have something to reference to in between sessions, and some of them will play with it and others won't. You can't mess it up, and that's one of the things that people are afraid of, is like, I might say the wrong thing, I might tap on the wrong points, or I might skip a point. But you can't mess it up. The worst that happens is nothing happens. So you can't make the situation worse.
That's a good. So if someone comes to you and says it's just not working, what else can you do?
Well, that's when we start troubleshooting. It's like, what are you using? A phrase that's accurate for you? Are you tapping on the correct points? Because the points are important. They've done some research that shows that tapping on sham points doesn't work. So that's a good comparison between the existing research to support more evidence to support that the right points are important and the phrasing is important. So if it's not working, we start troubleshooting right there. What phrase are you using? And is that accurate for you? And if not, what do we have to do to make it accurate? If everything is in line with them and they're doing things correctly, then there's things called psychological reversals that will block or stop the process. So what do I mean by psychological reversal? That's a thought or a belief or an idea that's basically 180 degrees out from the goal. So it may not be safe to let this problem or issue go or change it. The person may not be willing to let it go or change it. And for example, since we're talking about veterans, and I know this is a case and this is true, there's been a couple of veterans that don't want to do this because they're afraid they'll give up their benefits. So there's an unwillingness to participate here. Some people think it's not possible. So not possible to change it is another reversal, or it's a part of their identity, or they don't deserve to change it or be different from what is. So those things stop it, and those are the places where I start looking if they're having trouble making it work.
Mm-hmm. Now, I wanted to bring up something you did say on your website. It says the VA has finally considered EFT tapping as generally safe. Doesn't mean they're using it, but they have deemed it safe. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. They have two lists, and they have a list of approved therapy techniques. That's list number one. List number two is what you read about, is where we're at. Generally considered safe. No, we're not using it. And we have been knocking on the VA's door since 2004, 2005.
Wow.
Dawson and another researcher have been to Congress. I actually have the audio recordings of that. And basically it's been ignored. And part of the irony there is that there is, I don't know if she's still doing this or not, there is a woman in Boston who works for the VA in that area, in that VISN, so that's a general area, who uses EFT in the VA and teaches it to other clinicians in that VA VISN. And yet the rest of the VA seems to be oblivious or uninterested in any of it. And we don't really understand why. I had contact with one of the local Congress people here a few years back, and the aide said, "Yep, moving at the speed of government." So it's certainly the veterans deserve this. They deserve to have a treatment that works. When you take the standard treatment of care, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, it takes CBT twice as long to achieve the same results that can't be maintained. And I think it's 60% of the vets that are using CBT in therapy don't get any benefit at all.
Wow.
Whereas with EFT tapping, we had an 85% sustainable success rate. So that means 85% of the vets dropped below the threshold for PTSD, which is 50 on the PCLM. So 50 and above is considered clinical PTSD. Anything below that is considered non-clinical. So the average reduction in symptoms was 63%. And we accomplished this in 6 hours. Now I have to clarify that, though, because this is research. So research is very structured. So each veteran that came in, we made a list of the bad memories that were bothering them. And we just went down that list one by one by one by one. So it's not a typical counseling session. When I actually get into working with anybody in counseling sessions, it takes a little bit longer because there's a lot of questions that people are asking. There's a lot of things that they need to understand or want to understand that I wasn't able to take time to do that in the research. So it takes a little longer. And nonetheless, we can collapse quite a few problematic memories in an hour. So I forget what the question was and where we were headed with all of this.
Well, gosh, no. You were just trying to clarify. Well, now I forgot. But it was all interesting information.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious. So the VA isn't using it, but can they refer you out to see someone who specializes in it?
Well, that's another question. That's another good question. And the short answer is yes, they can, and the long answer is no, they can't. There are some stipulations within the VA that the veteran has to meet in order to be referred out. And so basically that means if they're not within 40 miles of a VA clinic, then they can get referred out and the clinician can get paid via the mission program that was, I think, put into effect by President Trump, former President Trump. So veterans locally, because there is a VA right in here in Rochester, they won't refer to me, and I've had some trouble getting on the program anyway. So, everything that all the work that I do with veterans is free.
Wow. And so tell us about what you do, your business.
Well, okay. So I'm a licensed mental health counselor here in New York State, and I'm in private practice, and I've been in private practice since '97. Was really on a journey to find something that did work for trauma when I got exposed to EFT in a not so pleasant way, but had a pleasant outcome. And I work a lot with trauma, whether it's veterans or civilians, first responders. I work a lot with trauma, pretty much run-of-the-mill mental health issues, anxiety, depression. EFT tapping works really well for reducing cravings, like for food cravings or other addictive cravings that people might have. Excuse me. So that's basically it. For a long time, I was one of maybe 2 or 3 clinicians here in Rochester that actually did EFT, but they weren't out there advertising it. I'm out there advertising it, as you can see from my website. So I kind of became known as the go-to person here for EFT, because I'm out there advertising, and then a lot of people say refer word of mouth, which is probably 90% of my referrals. My clients are word of mouth. So
go ahead. Sorry.
So I work with veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder and military sexual trauma and moral injury, first responders. I've worked with firefighters and police officers. The civilian side, I've worked with a lot of women that have been sexually abused and or seriously emotionally abused in abusive relationships, to help them move beyond those traumas, because those traumas, whether people realize it or not, are in the back seat driving the bus.
Yeah. What about those with alcohol or drug addiction?
So I don't work with active addicts.
Okay.
They're not reliable.
Okay.
And I would love to see this in some of the addiction clinics that are out there, because the relapse rates are just astronomically high.
Right.
Depending on where you look, it could be anywhere from 20% to 80%. And I know that when they're in a clinic, they don't have enough time really to get to in-depth stuff. That's one problem because of insurance limitations. And the other problem is that talk therapy doesn't work well to decrease the cravings. It doesn't work well to decrease the emotional impacts of trauma. In fact, in some cases, it makes it worse, because we're not sending any kind of signals into the brain that say, hey, this isn't, in cases of trauma, this isn't real anymore. Okay, when EFT tapping sends a calming signal into the limbic system, which is basically in charge of fight, flight, and freeze, and says, wait a minute, calm down, let's come back into reality, because what you're doing is projecting an old memory onto a current situation. And so talk therapy doesn't do that well at all. And there's also evidence via functional magnetic resonance imaging that there are actually changes in activity in the brain. So the conjecture here is that it's unwiring the neural networks that have been wired up around the traumas, the beliefs, the addictions, and the bad behaviors, so to speak, because they put people in these functional MRIs and given them a trauma script, their trauma script to read while they're in the MRI machine. They bring them out, they give them 8 hours of EFT, put them back in. have them read the trauma script again, and the areas of the brain that were firing aren't firing anymore, and other areas of the brain are functioning. And they've done the same thing with food cravings. And that's probably the biggest area of research that's been done with fMRIs is food cravings. There's a woman down in Australia, Peta Stapleton, who's doing it and coming out with some really incredible results, not only just from the tapping, but the fMRI images that show here's before and after what's going on in the brain.
That's interesting to me. I'm like, I want to use it for food cravings, but
well, we can if you want to do a demonstration on some food cravings, we can try and do that.
We will. There was one more question I was going to ask. Have you worked with children with this?
Not really. They're not my specialty area. Once in a while, I've worked with a couple of teenagers. Mm-hmm. They're more open to it. They're more willing to engage. Children, especially, and I know this because I've talked to other people that use it with kids, and they're just like wide open. It's like, give me something to settle down. You know, I'm open to anything. Mm-hmm. We use a little bit of difference in language with children because they don't get, I deeply and completely accept myself, but they get, I'm a good kid, I'm a good person, and I'm lovable. They get that. Yeah. So the languaging is a little different, but that's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is with the adult population. Mm-hmm. And I, you know, to just kind of loop back, is we were talking about addictions, and you know, if we could get EFT into these clinics, their success rates would skyrocket. Yeah. And they would have less relapse, because not only could they work on the addiction and the cravings, but they could also work on the underlying issues. Right. So, because in my position, from my perspective, substance abuse and addiction is not a disease. It is a dis-ease, hyphenated. People find a way to self-medicate. They don't do it intentionally, but there's this unconscious, hey, look at, if I do this, I don't have to feel this. If I do this, I don't have to feel that. Right. It almost makes me think about emotional eating too. With you know. Yeah, absolutely. The beauty of EFT tapping is this. On the surface, it kind of looks like a one size fits all, just from the process standpoint. However, it's really like an adjustable wrench, because the main process stays the same, but we fine tune it to each individual by the words and phrases that they're using. It's part of it is we're working with the subconscious. The subconscious is very literal. It will differentiate between words, even though the words might mean the same thing. If your word is mathematics and I'm using arithmetic, we're not hitting the bullseye. We're not on target, so we might not make any progress. Mm-hmm. Right? But if I switch over to mathematics, I have trouble with mathematics, or I hate mathematics, or whatever it is, versus I hate arithmetic, or I have trouble with arithmetic. Switch over to your term, we start moving along. Right. Very interesting. So it's really it's only limited by your imagination. That's what I'm trying to say. It's only limited by your imagination. I mean, we can use it for physical pain, and and a lot of times when there's undiagnosable physical pain, those people show up here because they're like, you know, the doctors can't tell me what's wrong. Can you help me out? In most of the time, there's an emotional issue connected with that physical pain. So if they can identify the emotional issue, and we work on the emotional issue, the pain will go away. I had a woman, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months ago, came in and she had all this pain in her right shoulder, and she was going to physical therapy, and she'd had cortisone shots, and progress was slow and minimal. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, so if there's an emotional issue there, what would it be? And she goes, oh my God, it's all about my mother. So we tapped on her mother issues, and I think I think we did one session. I think we did this in one session. I don't remember for sure, but the pain went away.
Wow.
And she emailed me the next day and she said, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm still pain free."
Wow. Wow. Okay.
And I just worked on somebody with sinus pressure and sinus pain the other day, and I was at Monday, and I talked to her Friday, and she said, "I haven't had any sinus pain since then."
If
So
only,
even if we don't,
go ahead.
yeah. So even if we don't know the emotional issue, we can still work on the pain.
Yeah. If only I could get rid of allergies.
It can do that too.
Then I need it. Sign me up.
So a lot of times there are emotional issues underneath the allergies. For example, there's a story on, I think it's on the EFT Universe website, I'm not sure. This woman developed an allergy to oatmeal.
Interesting.
It was interesting because she was eating breakfast one morning and eating oatmeal, and she found out her son had been killed in an accident. And ever since then she was allergic to oatmeal. And once they processed the accident and the trauma with EFT, she eat oatmeal again.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you were probably exposed. Wait a minute. Is it okay if I talk just a little bit about you?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know your background and you were in biological and chemical warfare, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you were over in Afghanistan or Iraq?
Both.
Both. Okay. And so, you know, there's the Gulf War syndrome. People have been exposed to toxins over there. And my guess, I've never worked with anybody, but my guess is that has set up some kind of allergic reactions in your system. And, you know, if you start working on the traumas, you might find out the allergies go away. I don't have enough history to know that for sure.
Yeah.
But that's my thinking. Just because you're in a combat zone and you're experiencing all this stress and this fear and whatever else is going on there, you know, mortar attacks and rocket attacks and ground fire, those, even if you're not directly exposed to that, you're exposed to it.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in Vietnam and I was stationed in Long Binh, the Vietnamese would mortar the runway over in Benoit, which was 5 miles away, and we could feel it. So that's what I mean by not directly exposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in the vicinity. I knew what was going on. I had to call my buddy over there and say, "Hey, you okay?" So there's a lot of possibilities with EFT tapping that just don't exist with the standard treatments for post-traumatic stress disorder, including exposure therapy, which most people in the tapping community deem as extremely barbaric and high risk of re-traumatizing the individuals that are being exposed. I mean, that's basically how EFT got started. There was a psychologist out in California. His name was Roger Callahan, and he was working with a woman who had an extreme fear of water, and the standard of treatment was exposure therapy. How close can we get you to a stream of water or the swimming pool? She couldn't drive past lakes and rivers and streams, and she could only use 1 inch of water in the bathtub.
Oh.
And Roger Callahan was studying acupuncture at the time. And she was in his office, his home office one day, and she was complaining about having a nightmare or something about water and that it was causing a knot in her stomach. And so Roger said to her, "Tap right here, tap right under your eyes, because that's where the stomach meridian ends." And he knew that, right? And she tapped there for a few seconds. She bolted out of his office down to a swimming pool and put her feet in the water.
Oh my gosh.
Roger running behind her saying, "Don't jump in, you can't swim." And she said, "I know I can't swim. It didn't make me stupid, but the fear is gone."
That's amazing.
It is. And that evolved into thought field therapy, which is the grandfather to EFT. And the big difference between EFT, emotional freedom tapping, and thought field therapy is thought field therapy had 15 different protocols. So if you're working on fear, you're tapping on one pattern. If you're working on anxiety, there's a whole other pattern. If you're working on grief, there's another pattern. Unless I could just see myself looking in the book, oh, we're doing grief, I got to tap this way. Oh, we're doing fear, I got to tap this way. Gary Craig, who developed the emotional freedom technique tapping, EFT tapping, took Roger's seminar, and Gary was an engineer, and he went, well, let's analyze this and see what the common points are and see what happens. So Gary took that complex protocol and made it really simple. And there's only one reason for the flow of the protocol, and that's just because it makes it easier to memorize.
Well, I think we used to do a demonstration.
Okay.
Where should we start so we can show everybody?
You wanted to talk about food cravings a little bit, yeah?
Yes. So true facts. There are times where I emotionally eat just because you know, we when they talk about how women just go into a pint of ice cream and just eat and sob and all that, I do that sometimes. So when I'm either bored or when I'm sad, and my daughter does the same thing, she'll emotionally eat too, or emotionally shop. But yeah, let's stick with the eating.
Okay. So what's your favorite food to eat emotionally?
French fries.
French fries. Okay. There's two ways to approach this here. If you couldn't have the French fries, how much distress would you experience? 0 to 10, 10 being total distress.
Maybe 1.
One?
Yeah. Because I just want it. I don't have to have it. I just want it.
Okay, so there's a clue right there. I just want it.
Yes.
As opposed to have it, okay?
Right.
How bad do you want the French fry? 10 being I totally want it.
Oh, like a 4.
Okay, and what would make it go up?
Oh, if I keep thinking about it, if I have to have it. If I am stressed out, sometimes that's what will calm me down, just eating fries.
Eating fries, okay. So you eat French fries to calm you down.
Yeah.
I'm just getting some target words here, okay?
Yeah.
Where do you feel that in your body?
I don't know. I can't really pinpoint where I feel it because I just start thinking about it. Oh, when I start breathing, when I get anxious.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get anxious and you feel that anxiety in your body, right?
Yes.
And where do you feel that?
Just all up here.
So basically in your chest.
Yes.
Okay. So wanting French fries, anxiety in your chest. Any other? Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Where is it at now? 0 to 10. I want French fries.
A 4.
Okay. All right. That's fine. There's nothing right or wrong about it. We're just going to track it. Now, it may go up as we're going along, and it may come back down. I don't know. Okay. So I want you to tap right here on the side of your hand. Yeah, and just repeat after me. Even though I want those French fries.
Even though I want those French fries.
Especially when I feel anxious in my chest.
Especially when I feel anxious in my chest.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I want French fries.
Even though I want French fries.
And I feel anxiety in my chest.
And I feel anxiety in my chest.
When I can't have them.
When I can't have them.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
If I say something that doesn't land for you, that's not accurate, let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Even though I want those French fries.
Even though I want those French fries.
Those yummy, tasty French fries.
Those yummy, tasty French fries.
And I feel this anxiety in my chest.
And I feel this anxiety in my chest.
Just talking about it.
Just talking about it.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay, tap on the top of your head. We're going to do the short version here.
Okay.
I want those French fries.
I want those French fries.
Tap on your eyebrows right by the bridge of your nose. I want those French fries.
I want those French fries.
Tap on the outside corner of your eye. I feel this anxiety in my chest.
I feel this anxiety in my chest.
When I'm talking about the French fries.
When I'm talking about the French fries.
Under your eyes. I want those French fries.
I want those French fries.
Because they calm me down.
Because they calm me down.
Under your nose. I want those French fries.
I want those French fries.
Because they calm down the anxiety.
Because they calm down the anxiety.
And your collarbone points. Okay, see what you just did?
I'm getting anxious.
You're getting anxious. Okay.
That's crazy.
Well, hang on a second. We'll come right there. Okay, I want those French fries.
I want those French fries.
And all this tapping.
And all
And
this
all
tapping.
this tapping is
All this
making me
tapping.
anxious.
It's making me anxious.
And do under your arms. I don't know if you can see it well. Okay. I want those French fries.
I want those French fries.
They calm me down
They calm me down
when I'm feeling anxious.
when I'm feeling anxious.
Okay, good. Just stop tapping for a minute, a second or two here. How anxious are you right now, 0 to 10?
Like a 6.
Okay, so what's making you anxious here? We've uncovered something.
I think just talking about it stressed me out. It stressed me out talking about it.
Okay,
Why
so
is that?
so this is uncommon because we start peeling the layers of the onion. Okay, my guess is that there's some part of you that's like, oh no, don't take this away from me.
Probably. That's so crazy.
Well, is it true though?
Yeah, I guess it is. Now that I'm
You-
thinking about it.
You don't want to give up the French fries.
Well, no.
No, of course not. Because then you wouldn't be able to calm yourself down. Well, what if you could? Okay.
Different story. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, are you still feeling the anxiety in your chest?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do this and see what happens here. Tap on the side of your hand. Even though I don't want to give up those French fries,
Even though I don't want to give up those French fries,
because I won't have anything
because I won't have anything
to calm me down,
to calm me down,
to calm down this anxiety in my chest.
to calm down the anxiety in my chest.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though some part of me
Even though some part of me
doesn't want to give up the French fries
doesn't want to give up the French fries
because they help me calm down.
because they help me calm down.
They calm down that anxiety in my chest.
They calm down the anxiety in my chest.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I don't want to give up those French fries,
Even though I don't want to give up those French fries.
I'm getting anxious just thinking about it or talking about it.
I'm getting anxious just thinking about it or talking about it.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Top your head. I don't want to give up those French fries.
I don't want to give up those French fries.
On your eyebrows. I won't have anything to calm me down.
I won't have anything to calm me down.
Outside corner. Eating French fries
Eating French fries
calms down the anxiety
calms down the anxiety
that I feel in my chest.
that I feel in my chest.
Under your eyes. So I don't want to give up the French fries
So I don't want to give up the French fries
because I won't have anything to calm me down.
because I won't have anything to calm me down.
And they definitely calm me down.
And they definitely calm me down.
But I don't want to give them up
But I don't want to give them up
because I might get anxious.
because I might get anxious
Under your arms. And I won't have anything to calm me down.
and I won't have anything to calm me down.
Okay. What are you noticing?
And I'm
Okay.
calming down.
Right. Right. So I was aware of that because your voice changed. And the second sign that you're calming down was you did this. You did a spontaneous sigh without any prompting from me. So that's one of the signs that people are having an emotional shift, an emotional release, an energetic release, is that they often sigh spontaneously. Some people start to yawn. I do. I'm working with clients and I start to yawn and I have to tell them, I'm not tired. I'm just processing with you. So your anxiety was at a 6. Where is it at now?
A 3.
A 3. Okay. You want to go for 0?
Sure. I was just, yeah.
Okay. Tap on the side of your hand. Even though I still don't want to give up those French fries.
Even though I still don't want to give up those French fries.
Because I won't have anything to calm down this anxiety that I feel in my chest.
Because I won't have anything to stop the anxiety that I have in my chest.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I don't want to give up those French fries.
Even though I don't want to give up the French fries.
They calm me down when I eat them.
They calm me down when I eat them.
And I don't feel that anxiety in my chest.
And I don't feel that anxiety in my chest.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I don't want to give up those French fries.
Even though I don't want to give up those French fries.
Because I won't have a tool.
Because I won't have a tool.
To calm me down.
To calm me down.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Yep. Tap of your head. I don't want to give up those French fries.
I don't want to give up those French fries.
On your eyebrows. I won't have anything to calm me down.
I won't have anything to calm me down.
Outside corner, and they definitely calm me down.
And they definitely calm me down.
Under your eyes. So I don't want to give them up.
So I don't want to give them up.
Under your nose. Who would?
Who would?
They calm me down.
They calm me down.
What would I do without them?
What would I do without them?
I don't want to give up those French fries.
I don't want to give up those French fries.
Under your arms. I don't want to give up those French fries.
I don't want to give up those French fries.
Okay. So are you still a 3?
So much better. No. I'm calm. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Right. And how long did it take us?
Under 10 minutes.
Probably under 5. I wasn't really timing it, but
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
5 minutes,
Yeah. So how do we help more people?
Let me answer your question in a second, Heather. I want to just so what I want to do is test this a little bit. All right. And if you think about French fries, what do you notice?
Right now, I'm not stressing out about it.
And if I say you can't eat French fries or you can't have them,
my heart just started racing.
Okay. Okay.
Damn fries.
This is so we're looking for another aspect here. That's why I'm testing this. Is there's another aspect? Okay. What's the other aspect here? What made your heart start racing?
Because you said I couldn't have them.
Okay. How much distress is there that you can't have those French fries?
It was just a little bit. Is a little bit because I'm just coming down from this calmness.
All right, just check it out here. You can't have French fries. How high does it go? How high does this distress go?
It didn't go high this time.
It didn't go high this time. Okay. All right. So to your question, how do we get this out to more people? Word of mouth. Send them to the Veteran Stress Project website. Send them to my website. Send them to the EFT Universe website. It's all been spread by word of mouth. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. When I first started this, there weren't any certification programs. Now there's 3 major certification programs out there. When I first started it, there wasn't any research. The Veteran Stress Project was probably one of the earliest research projects there was, and now there's over 100 peer-reviewed research papers out there, and dozens of other. There's a lot of research information out there. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Research that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
But
I was trying to see if there's any comments. Nothing yet. Oh, I this is crazy because because I was feeling it. I mean, you guys, I'm not even joking. I was feeling it, and it was such a weird feeling because there was nothing. It was just words and tapping and breathing and just listening and yeah, this needs to be shared all over because I can't imagine how much of a relief it would bring to people when they are under the stress. Just those movements.
Right. So part of the reason you were feeling it is because those statements created an internal exposure. You were connected with whatever was going on internally. So there's this exposure therapy component to it. When I say tune into this memory, what's the distress level there? Your mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality.
Wow.
And so there's the exposure component, then there's the somatic, right? And then the talking is the cognitive. So we have a combination of basically 3 different therapies pulled into one process along with the tapping.
Incredible. Oh my gosh. I'm like, how calm. So what else can we tell people? What else can we tell them to not, maybe not, don't knock it till you try it, right?
Because don't knock it until you try it. I mean, it looks weird and it sounds weird, and if it works, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But don't knock it until you try it. And I have some clients that'll show up and they say, well, I don't want to do this. And I said, well, I can't work with you then because this is what I do.
Yeah.
This is what I excel at. And if you really want to shift and you really want to change, then this is the way to go.
Yeah.
And actually, at this point, there's a lot of people that are aware of EFT tapping and are actually seeking it out. Because they've been in therapy for 10 years and they haven't made any significant progress.
Yes. This could have probably helped me when I had a panic attack, I don't know, 3 years ago inside of a Target. For no reason. No reason at all. But I could have used this to help me.
Right. That's the beauty of it. You can use it anytime, anywhere, any place on anything that's triggering you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
If you imagine, going, I bet you can tune into this and tell me there's some distress there. If you tune into that panic attack, there's probably some distress there. 0 to 10.
Yeah. I don't want to go into that place.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's why I asked you, because I kind of figured that's what was going on. It's like, I don't want to go into that place because I had a panic attack there.
Yeah.
So what if that wasn't there?
Right. It'd be so much better.
Right. Or sitting in the parking lot going, I don't want to go in there. I'm having a panic attack. And you sit in your car, then do some tapping and calm yourself down so you can go in the store or go into the crowd or whatever.
Right. Right. So helpful. Oh my gosh. What else would you like to leave with our listeners and our viewers? Because this is like, I mean, I definitely want to leave them with your websites and with words of not encouragement, but just like, you should try it. I mean, what have you got to lose? Another way.
Nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose to try it.
Yeah.
A little time in investment, and maybe some money, depending on whether you're a veteran or not. You have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain. If you want your life back and be more in charge of it rather than these spontaneous out of the blue reactions that show up, like happened in Target,
Mm-hmm.
this is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So tell us again which websites they can find you at.
Okay, they can find me at my website, www.lifescriptcounseling.com. They can go to EFTuniverse.com and find out more information there. ASAP website is energypsychology.org. I think that's what it is. And then there's the Tapping Solution website. Nick Ortner and his sister Jessica and his other brother, I can't remember, Alex, and they've created the Tapping Solution Foundation. They're in Newtown, Connecticut, where that school massacre happened, and so they've done a lot of work with the survivors of that massacre, and they created a foundation, charitable foundation. And every year they run, in February, they run this thing called the World Tapping Summit. And they invite guest speakers to come in and talk about tapping. And, you can buy the program and have it for future reference. And he always donates the money to, not all of it, he donates some of the money to other projects like the Veteran Stress Project, or I think that was Project Light, which is, they've been using this with school kids in Rwanda, kids that experienced the genocides. So there's, if you Google emotional freedom techniques, you'll find lots of resources there. You'll find me, Association with Energy, the ASAP website, EFT Universe, and several other websites. If people have any questions, they can always contact me at 585-704-0376. They can send me an email at info@lifescriptcounseling.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that they have. And some people want a referral, and I can help. I might be able to help get them connected with somebody, and maybe not. It depends. I'm not allowed legally. I'm not allowed to work across state lines.
Right.
The pandemic has changed that to some degree, but it's state dependent, state by state situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think technology is going to sort of push and mandate the change that just allows us to work across state lines without any repercussions or penalties.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I thank you so much for being on here today, because I learned a lot, and I definitely, we need to get the word out. We need to promote this more, because it's not being used to its advantage.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
So
it's still widely underused, even though it's used more. It's still widely underutilized, especially in the VA, especially in the substance abuse centers. Widely underused there.
I can't imagine how much an effect it would be for substance abuse. It would be so amazing. They need to use it.
Let me close with this little story here. So a couple of years ago, I was working with a lady with chocolate craving, and it worked so good that she couldn't even drink a chocolate smoothie anymore.
No. Oh no.
And that only took a couple of sessions.
Oh no.
I worked with another woman who had this addiction to ginger chews and some kind of ginger candy, right? And she would eat a pound like every 2 days.
Oof.
I worked with her for maybe 30 minutes or so, and that was 2.5, almost 3 years ago. And to this day, she's like, I can't eat them.
Oh my gosh. So magic.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of like a magic bullet.
Yep. Absolutely.
Everybody responds differently to it, and everybody responds at their own speed, their own pace. And so there's no right or wrong about it.
Right.
There's no right or wrong about the number. There's no right or wrong about anything about it. It's just so flexible.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much again, you guys. If you're watching or if you're just listening to this, tune in, go find him and get some more information. See if it works for you. You never know. So
thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.